This is the Ecuador we were waiting to arrive this entire World Cup. They only had 1 point up to this point, losing to Ivory Coast, drawing to Curacao, and they just couldn't score goals. They were held scoreless in both of those games. And in this one, they concede a goal in the second minute, and I'm just thinking, they are screwed. There's no way they're getting themselves back into this one. It's impossible. But just 7 minutes later, a long distance strike from Nilson Angulo, the Sunderland man who struggled to get into the team, gets introduced into this Ecuador team, and he makes a goal he scores a goal that has them believing, okay, now we can score a goal. We finally got over the line. Now they had the real confidence to go for it. They believed, and it was real momentum shift for them. Because after they conceded that early goal, I really thought they were screwed. And by the way, that goal should have never ever stood. I mean, how the referee and VAR missed that. That's a disgrace. They owe us some sort of explanation. On the first replay, I immediately knew that's two different infractions. It's a foul because he makes contact with him, number one. Number two, and if he does not make contact, it's high foot. It's dangerous play. It's an indirect free kick. No matter what, that should have never stood. How VAR missed that, that's a disgrace. How the referee didn't see it. The referee had a good angle at it, but okay. The referee missed it, okay. But VAR, absolute disgrace. But it didn't end up matter. They scored the equalizer and then late winner set piece 77th minute. And that's what this Ecuador team is gonna need. They're gonna need individual moments of magic like that long distance goal or taking advantage of set pieces, getting fortunate because they don't create enough. They lack dynamic players going forward. They're still relying on a 36-year-old Ener Valencia. So that's an issue for them. But defensively, they are so stout. They haven't conceded a single goal minus this KG one this tournament, and it makes sense. And I'm thinking if I'm the Ecuadorian manager, the Argentine who Sebastian Baseso, he was going crazy on the sideline. He was actually the assistant coach for Jorge Sampaoli. He behaves like him on steroids. It's crazy how he his antics on the sideline, but that's not near nor there. If I'm him, I mean, you put your onus on your world class players. You have a world class holding midfielder. You have two defenders that started in Champions League finals in Pacho and in Cape in for their respective teams. So you put your onus on them to defend. You put your onus on Moises Caicedo to sit in front of the center backs and protect them and be willing to send numbers forward because you lack those dynamic players to make, the quality in the final third. So how do you combat that? You send players more forward and you try to get your goals by getting numbers in. Put your onus on the center backs. Put your onus on your holding midfielder who, yes, he's not a typical, he's a link up. He produces in build up play. Don't get me wrong, but he's not the typical just sit in front of center back and like a third center back sort of holding midfielder. Like he can play football. That's why Chelsea bought him for a world class record fee. But he can sit in front of the center backs and do a job. Put your onus on your best players to do the defending and be willing to send players forward. Send your fullbacks forward. Yes, including one is Hincapié. But you need to get numbers up because you lack that dynamism. They lack that creativity, but they defend really, really well. They have good defenders. They're a good unit. Like if I'm a group winner, and my gift is Ecuador as a third place team, that's nightmarish. Like Mexico, honestly speaking, Mexico's probably gonna be the ones that get Ecuador 99% likely. I would probably favor. It'd be 50-50, and it's only 50-50 because it's at the Azteca. If it was at a neutral site, Ecuador, hands down, that'll be the favorites. So, yeah, I think Ecuador can do something this tournament. This is the sort of dark horse I was talking about. We're going to talk about the other team in this group that's also a dark horse. But, yeah, Ecuador, I'm impressed. As far as Germany, look, I think it's a little different with Germany in the U.S. because Germany played their first team. So, yes, this was a meaningless game. But I do think overall in this tournament, I think they showed weaknesses in all three games. Against Curacao, conceding to Curacao, I thought it was very disappointing. I don't, despite they won 7-1, but, letting Curacao back into the game, I thought they looked vulnerable in that little period. Eventually, the quality was just going to outclass them. Against Ivory Coast, I thought long periods in the game, they were second best in that Ivory Coast game. And it took Dennis Undev coming off the bench to get the winner, to get the equalizer and the winner. And then in this one, it's just lacking that creativity, lacking that dynamism, lacking that cutting edge. So yeah, I've been pretty, just Germany. They were the group winners, but I don't know. I thought this was a team capable of going on a run. I think I'm having to second guess that. I really think the first time they play a France, a Spain, one of those echelon elite teams, they'll probably go home. I was thinking they're one of those teams that can upset one of those, but I don't know. There's something about them that's missing something. Dennis Undev, whether he should be starting or not, is one question mark. Yeah, it's. I don't know. I don't know with Germany. I think I'm going in the knockout stages with slightly less optimism in regards to them. The other big story in this group, Cote d'Ivoire, they reached the knockout stages for the first time in their history, well deservedly so. And honestly, they should have really been group winners. Again, I thought they were overall the better team in that Germany game. They had the chance at the end. Adingra deciding to cut back on his right foot. Don't know why he didn't hit it first time with his left, but you know it passed. And honestly, that was a little bit of a free hit for them because the objective is to get out of the group, and they did the important thing, beating Ecuador in that opening day, that Amad Diallo winner, and then Curacao they took advantage. I didn't think they were impressive against Curacao. They got gifted a goal early, and they never really had to get out of second gear. They were really just trying to, see the game out, and they did, superbly, and they got through. Their second place in the group with 6 points. Phenomenal achievement for them. And this Ivory Coast team, yes, they don't have the Didier Drogbas, the Yaya Touris. They don't have the big names, but they have a lot of good players. There's some strength and depth with this team. Nicolas Pepe, he's been a big part about this World Cup campaign. He scored a brace today. He wasn't even in the AFCON squad. So this is a team with some real depth. Kessie, I think he's been really, really good in the so far this World Cup. Diomande has been a revelation. Whoever gets him, this guy's going straight to the top. Dynamic, direct, gives any fullback he goes up against nightmares because he goes straight at them. And he doesn't do all this dancing. It's, one step over, go. And it's very direct, and that's sort of player I love. You have the class of Diallo as well. I like MRC5, since he's come in, he came in mid AFCON, they won AFCON, and I think he's done a great job at this Ivory Coast team as well. I, I just like everything about this. So well balanced, they're an efficient unit, and they're also a team of the things formulate the right way, they can go on a run. I really believe that. So yeah, highly impressed with Ivory Coast, and I'd like to see exactly who they face. They're gonna probably face second place in France Netherlands group, so it's gonna be probably France Norway group, so it's probably gonna be Norway. That's very interesting matchup. That's very interesting matchup. But we're gonna start previewing the round of 32s as they get officially confirmed, not based on this team probably is gonna face this team. Once they get confirmed, we'll get to those. But yeah, they're gonna be playing on Tuesday. I believe they take a trip to Dallas. Yeah, they're gonna be playing at Jerry World. So, if you're able to go to that, congratulations. So next group. So today D, E, and F finished off. Oh, F. So Netherlands win the group and expectedly so. They came in being the favorites in the group. They trounced Tunisia as expected based on what we saw from Tunisia. Tunisia, they've been the worst team probably at this World Cup. They've been horrible and way worse than the level of quality of their players. They have some solid players. It's just the federation. There's some issues there. Obviously, it's easy to say that when they fire Lamouche after one game, but that's a whole very disappointing World Cup for them. Netherlands winning the group, deservedly so. As I said, they were the best team. They had the best quality. They played the best football. Even in that Japan game early on, even that first half, they were pinning them deep, and then the second half, they were playing when they started playing more quicker, when they started getting runs in behind, when they started not relying on slow possession and actually trying to break down Japan. They were able to break them down a couple times, but Japan did get back into the game as well. But overall, the demolition they did of Sweden, I think Netherlands were the best team in this group. Japan finished second. They 2 draws and a win. Honestly, this game they played Sweden played this game, but the whole problem with this game was, and you're going to see it in the other game, and it's the format issue of, well, if a third place team moves on, Japan and Sweden in a normal World Cup format, this is going to be a head-to-head, end-to-end sort of game because both of these teams, or Sweden, will kind of need to win this game to jump Japan, and Japan will need to make sure they don't lose. But in this one, once Japan found out that they really couldn't catch up to the Netherlands, a point was enough for them to finish second. And for Sweden, a point is good enough for them as well, because they don't want to risk being expensive trying to finish second and leave themselves open at the back and concede a goal, which will put them in third place, and then will put them in third place with the 3 points, and then goal differential will matter at that point, and they're probably not going to get through. But a point, being third place with 4 points, will get you through. So that's the format issue with third place getting through. It ruins the stakes of this game, and you saw it in this game. It was so dull, lethargic, both teams playing not to lose. It was a cagey chess match, and it just ruined it. In a game where you're supposed to see brilliant, Japanese total football, and then Sweden, the attacking display of Gyökeres, Isak Alanga, we didn't really get to see that. Even both goals came from an individual team, one individual moment, a great team goal from Japan, and then an individual moment of class from Alanga. There was no real sustained pressure that any of these teams were providing to the other back line. No, it was just a cagey chess match, and it ruined it, but it is what it is. Japan, they finished second. They earned a trip to go play against Brazil in Houston. And Sweden, they remain to be seen. I think they are most likely playing first place in Group I, which is that France-Norway group. And then the U.S. group, Australia drawing against Paraguay, very similar situation to the Japan-Sweden game. Australia knowing a point will be enough for them to finish second. Paraguay knowing a point will be enough to finish third with 4 points, which will more likely see them through. So again, cagey chess match. No team willing. When I say no team really willing to be expensive, no team. It was the most boring game. Nobody was willing to send people forward. If a chance broke and a miracle happened, okay, they would have taken it, but no real team wanted to win this game. Both teams were content with the point. Paraguay was refusing to send any sort of... anytime Enciso got the ball, it was like him versus 4 or 5 Australians. I believe in the first half, they had 1 shot. They finished the game with maybe 3 shots. And no real clear-cut opportunities I can remember, except there was like 2 at the end. So, again, flaw of the format. USA losing to Turkey. As I said, this is a little bit different. This was USA's entire second team besides Weston McKennie. And I guess Ricardo Pepi started the Australia game, but he's probably not in the first team when Pulisic is healthy. So, yeah, obviously, you leave a sour taste in your mouth going into the knockout stage with a loss. You want to go 3 of 3 perfect, kind of like Mexico did. And the way they got Azteca behind them was very fun to watch. I was a little jealous. But it is what it is. Again, you'd rather go in with 6 points than go in with 9 points, perfect 3 of 3, but lose Tyler Adams and Balogun to yellow card suspension. So the fact that everyone comes out clean, no key player was injured, that was the most important thing. And we learned some lessons that if we ever have to trust Miles Robinson and Mark McKenzie, we'll be in big trouble, especially Miles Robinson. I thought Austin Trusty on the left-hand side, he handled his things pretty well. He even scored a goal early on, very good finish. I thought Weston McKennie was one of the bright spots. As expected, he's a starter. Didn't get Reyna on the ball enough. Berhalter, not great in the first half, but he ended up scoring the goal. Overall, Tim Weah, what a drop-off, man. Wherever he forgot how to learn football, man, wow, that's devastating. He was the guy that I was expecting after the 2022 World Cup to be a pivotal part. But to now just be a guy that gets minutes in the irrelevant games, and not only gets minutes in the relevant games, doesn't even show out. He wasn't even the best of the second team. That's a huge drop-off, He was one of the... I believe he was the main guy at the 2022 World Cup. Him and Pulisic, he scored the opening goal, almost scored a second in that Iran game, was like offsides by this much. So, yeah, that's a disappointing drop-off. But for US, on to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Tomorrow, there's also going to be some very, very interesting games, that I'm going to talk about. You got the Egypt group concluding. Can Egypt win the group? That'll be a remarkable story. Will Belgium make it out of the group stages? Spain, Uruguay are on the verge of potentially getting eliminated from the World Cup. And then obviously France, Norway, that ultimate showdown as well to win that group. So we'll be back tomorrow, and subscribe, all that. Have a good one.